What's going on, guys? TTL here. Today I'm going over my top MLB plays for today. Today is June 20th, 2023. It's currently 4 in the morning and PrizePicks already has so many juicy, great value props for us to play. They just added total bases around 30 minutes ago, so all 5 of these are going to be strikeout props, but don't worry, I absolutely love all 5. We've been killing it this MLB season. I will say yesterday was a really bad day. The day before, we actually profited because of Sleeper. Yesterday, we almost profited because we profited 6 units on sportsbook bets, but the free picks were terrible. We went 2 for 6 on the free picks yesterday. The only 2 that hit were Flaherty and Scherzer, so the rest were just duds. They were really close, but they just couldn't get to where we needed them to be. Hopefully we bounce back today, though. I am feeling really comfortable and really confident in all 5 of these picks. You can power play them in however you would like. And before we do get started, really quickly, if you guys would like to support me, I post every single PrizePicks, Underdog, Sleeper, and Sportsbook bet over on my Patreon. Go join. It's a 7-day free trial, completely free. So there's no reason not to take advantage of that. There's a VIP only chat in the Discord. You get watch parties, sportsbook bets, every single slip that I play, I post. So I'm up around $7,000 this month, which means we're up around 70 units, and that's not counting BOVADA actually. So we're probably up around 85, 90 units total this month, which is just terrific. We're only 20 days in, so make sure you guys go sign up that 7-day free trial, and let's get into the picks for today. So starting off, I like Nelson under 4.5. The only reason I'm a little bit iffy, I'm starting off with the most iffy prop for me. The only reason I'm a little bit iffy is because last time I took his under and he went over by 0.5 versus the Phillies, and he got pulled. I think it was literally the last batter he went up against. So very sad to see there. But he is against the Brewers today. The Brewers are pretty bad. They're 27th or 30th, averaging around 9 strikeouts per game. So when you first see that, it looks like a bad pick. But when you scroll down and you actually look at Nelson's history, you can see he's around minus 115 odds to stay under 4.5. And he's hit under this in 8 of his last 10 games. And he's only went over versus Oakland and the Phillies. And when we take a look, Oakland is 26th and Phillies is 24th, down there just with Milwaukee. And we can see their recency bias is actually terrible as well. Oakland's averaged 12 strikeouts over their last 3 games. The Phillies have averaged almost 11 over their last 3 games. So I do like him to stay under here. He stayed under versus other teams as well, like Colorado, Detroit, the Royals. And he actually went under versus the Phillies earlier this year as well, but he just had a lucky last strikeout that last outing. But I do think he goes back to his normal self and stays under today. This is the most iffy play of the day, but I'm still very confident that he hits, and I'm still confident that you can put him in 2 picks as well. I personally have him in a 2-pick on Underdog, so I'm just as confident in him as the rest. Next, I like Tyler Glasnow under 7.5 as well. He's versus Baltimore. He stayed under in 4 of his last 5 outings. And when we take a look at Outlier.bet, by the way, guys, if you want to take a look at Outlier.bet, this is an absolutely terrific app. They've really helped me just fine-tune my research. And it's just so easy to find valuable props. They're kind of like props.cash on steroids is what I always say. And there's a 7-day free trial if you use my link. But Tyler Glasnow for the Tampa Bay Rays. They're against the Orioles today. It's minus 115 odds to stay under 7.5. We can check Baltimore. They're ranked 9th out of 30th, averaging just around 8 strikeouts per game. 6 strikeouts over their last 3. And in their last outing, they only had 3 total strikeouts. So we can see this season so far starts the 27th of May. So he's only had 4 outings this season. So we can go to the last 5. And he's gotten 5, 8, and then 3 games he had 6 in his last 5. This is including a game from last season, though. So he's 3-1 of staying under 7.5 this season. The one time he went over was by 0.5 and was versus the Dodgers. And we can see that versus the Athletics, who are 26th on that list, averaging over 9 strikeouts per game, he only got 6 strikeouts. So versus Baltimore, who again are ranked 9th, only averaging 8 strikeouts and 6 strikeouts over their last 3 games. I really just do not think he's going to get there, and I am loving this under today. Next, I like Michael Lorenzen for Detroit versus the Royals, over 5 strikeouts. We can take a look at his last 5. He's went over in 1 of his last 5, and he's pushed in 1 of his last 5. So we can take a look on Outlier.bet, and we can just try and look for him. Here he is, and we'll switch this to over. So over 4.5 strikeouts is minus 137 odds. He is versus the Royals. And when we take a look at his last 10, these are all 10 this season, so that's good to see already. We can take a look. He's gotten 3 or more in most of his games this season. There's been 2 times that he's pushed. He's went over in 4. He's went over or pushed in 4 out of 10 games this season out of his last 10, which doesn't sound great. But when you look at who he has faced, it makes a lot of sense. So he is versus the Royals today, who are 21st out of 30th on most strikeouts per game. They had 12 strikeouts last game, and they're averaging 9 strikeouts on average this season and 9 strikeouts on average over their last 3. When you take a look at who he's been up against, he got 4 versus the Orioles, who are ranked 9th. He got 5 versus the Brewers, who are ranked 27th, which is good. He got 1 versus the Mets, ranked 4th. 3 versus Cleveland, ranked 2nd. And then he went over versus Pittsburgh, who are ranked 11th. He went over versus the Royals, ranked 21st, last time they faced off each other. He went under versus the White Sox just by 1, who are ranked 17th. He went over the next game against the White Sox. And then he went under versus Atlanta and the Diamondbacks, who are 10th. And I thought Diamondbacks were up here 3rd. So he's going against these good teams and coming close, getting 3-4 strikeouts. So now that he's against one of these bottom tier teams, bottom half teams, Kansas City Royals, averaging 9 strikeouts this season, 12 their last game. I love this, man. I really think he at minimum pushes, but I think that he goes even further. I think he gets 7, maybe even 8 strikeouts today. Again, I absolutely love this. And for him to go over, it was just around, let's see, minus 137 odds. The no vig odd is minus 140, minus 139. So absolutely love this, and I am putting this in a lot of different 2 picks. Next, I have George Kirby from the Mariners, over 5 strikeouts versus the Yankees. They went over in 3 of their last 5 outings versus the Yankees, who are 13th out of 30th, averaging around 8.5 strikeouts per game, 9 strikeouts over their last 3, and they actually had 11 in their last outing. And we can take a look. We can scroll on Outlier.bet until we see Kirby. Over 5.5 right here. So over 5.5 is plus money. But we can take a look at over 4.5. So this is at least a push, is minus 230 odds. I heavily believe this is going to go up to 5.5. That's what it is on most sports books currently. He's only pushed this number once out of his last 10 games, and he's went over in 6 out of his last 10. So he's pushed or went over in 7 of his last 10. The only times he's went under were versus the Athletics, versus the Pirates, and versus the Padres. And he's went over versus teams that do not strike out much, like Atlanta, Boston, and Miami. So I heavily believe that he's going to go over versus the Yankees, who are kind of middle of the pack, and their recency bias, actually, they've been striking out a lot. So absolutely love this number. They strike out almost double what his line is set at. There's not much more to say about Kirby. He's also just a great pitcher. He's known as a great pitcher. So I am definitely taking this play today. My last play of the day for free picks is Marcus Strowman, if I can find him. He may have gotten taken off the board. It looks like so. Yeah, so he was actually taken off the board, so I apologize, guys. I'm only going to get 4 picks this video. If he comes back up, I have him over 4 strikeouts. I would take it up to over 4.5, though. We can take a look at his stats really quick for you guys. Over 4.5. He's went over in 4 of his last 5 games, and he's went over in 6 of his last 10. The only times he hasn't are versus Miami, Minnesota, Phillies, and the Mets. The Mets make sense, the rest do not. But he's been doing great against good teams. So against Tampa Bay, he got 8. The Padres, 6. He got 5 versus Washington even. So even if he gets bumped up to 4.5, I would still take this. But definitely take it at that 4 line. Over 3.5, he's minus 230 odds. So definitely no reason not to take this. I absolutely love it again. The line that we got at 4 would have been over or pushing in 7 of the last 10. And only pushing 1 of those as well versus the Phillies. He's versus the Pirates again tonight. Last outing versus them, he got 5, which was 5 days ago. And we can check, they're ranked 11th. They average 8 strikeouts per game. So with his line being 4, that's double what his line is at. So absolutely love that pick. Hopefully he'll come back up by the time you guys see this video. And again, thank you guys so much for all the support. Make sure to leave a thumbs up and leave a comment if you're telling. Again, I apologize about the bad days recently, but the good definitely outweighs the bad. Even if we get 1 5 out of 5, which we did 3 days ago, that makes up for 10 losing days. Like if you play $100, you would get 1,000 back, and you could lose 9 days in a row after that, and you would still be break even. Most people just don't think like that though, and they see 1 losing day and then it's death threats. So I do appreciate all the supporters though. The support definitely outweighs the bad. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next video.